you get criticized a lot. You get judged for being, just a nerd or just a good student, not necessarily smart or bright. You really need to fight to prove yourself, to prove that you really deserve it. I felt I needed to excel, or, I will not really be appreciated. I needed to be on top. And I graduated, by the way, I was top of my class when I graduated. So it felt like there is no other
Incredible.
option. It's either you're the best or you're not really acknowledged for your achievements.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi Tech, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders, and meet Sarah Levy, the CTO of Sight Diagnostics. Sarah joined Sight to build and lead its technology dream team. She's responsible for Sight's product and its medical regulation activities. Top of her class at the elite Talpiot program, Sarah gained her technology leadership experience during a brilliant military career where she commanded elite cybersecurity and intelligence special technology units. Sarah holds a master's in Condensed Matter Physics from the Weizmann Institute of Science and a bachelor's of science in physics and mathematics, magna cum laude, from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Sarah Levy, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very, very much for joining me, Chief Technology Officer of Sight Diagnostics. The company reminds me of a little documentary that I recently saw, which was interesting. So obviously we'll touch on that, but I'm sure that it's very, very far from the documentary about Theranos. But solving. Yes, but solving, nevertheless, a really, really important issue that inevitably is going to change the way we experience diagnosis, especially with blood work. So Sarah, before we even get to that, you have a really interesting journey of your own. Tell me a little bit about your career and how do you end up working at Sight Diagnostics?
Okay, sure. So actually, I was born in France, in a city called Toulouse, to an Israeli father and a French mother. And when they graduated their dentistry studies, they made Aliyah. They came back to Israel with me, and they raised me and my two brothers in the north of Israel. So I grew up in the north, and at the age of 18, I joined a military program called Talpiot, I guess. You heard about it.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it's a highly exclusive program. I mean, training 40 cadets, more or less selected from many, many candidates to become technological leaders in the security sector. And it involves a bachelor's degree in physics and mathematics and a wide-ranging military training. And after 3.5 years, I graduated Talpiot and I joined the special technological unit of the intelligence corps, where I spent over 6 years and led complex and strategic projects. I mean, top secret projects involving a variety of technological disciplines. And I managed the cybersecurity department, which back then I think employed some of Israel's best software engineers, some of them very, very famous today.
Incredible. By the way, Sarah, I just have to ask you, how many women were in your Talpiot year, in your cohort?
So it was me and another woman graduating out of 33 back then. And I think these are the numbers, more or less, 2 to 5.
What was that experience like? Because I'm sure that also today, being the chief technology officer of a truly deep tech company, it's not trivial yet, and that sucks, right? It needs to be common and it needs to be equal, but it's not yet. So what is that experience like for you?
So I mean, obviously there are not a lot of women. It started in high school, where I was in a class that studied physics, and we were 4 girls out of 40 students in the class. And later on in Talpiot, it was like a natural thing to spend time mostly with men. I think that back then it was pretty rare for women to study physics and mathematics and excel in that. It's becoming more and more common. It was unique. It's not a trivial experience. Also, the combination of military training, combat training. We had 4 months of basic training in the beginning with combat fighters, and then officers course and parachuting and artillery and armored force and all of that. It was unique. It was a very interesting, I would say, experience. I feel that from building leadership skills, it was very it built me. It was good, to build my strengths and my ability to deal with stress, with a lot of competition. But it's not for everyone. So it's a struggle. I mean, you get criticized a lot. You get judged for being, just a nerd or just a good student, not necessarily smart or bright. You really need to fight to prove yourself, to prove that you really deserve it. I felt I needed to excel, or, I will not really be appreciated. I needed to be on top. And I graduated, by the way, I was top of my class when I graduated. So it felt like there is no other option. It's either you're the best or you're not really acknowledged for your achievements.
Incredible. I think that is so awesome. And, obviously it speaks volumes to the remainder of your career. And the reason why I wanted to start and understand a little bit about your mindset, because the things you've done are really, really incredible and inspiring. And so now I understand a little bit about the way that you're thinking through the different challenges and adversities. What was your sort of strategy shaping your career? How did you sort of strategize through the different things that you were going to do later on?
So I think that when you sign for 10 years in the army at the age of 18, you're not really, building any real strategy. You're just kind of flowing with it. And I wasn't even sure I want to study physics or I want to, have this type of career. I had a dream to become a doctor, which, in a way, I kind of closed the circle with the company that we've been building. So nothing was necessarily planned. I think I'm a real achiever, and I try to lead wherever I am. So the career in the army kind of shaped my way through, whatever came after. And also, I think that it was during those years in the army that I met some of the smartest people I know and work with me. Some of them work with me today at Sight. Some of them, open doors for me. So it was mostly organic, and by, getting in touch with the right people, jumping on opportunities. I'm also very much, I make decisions out of intuition, in a way, less rational, more emotional, in a very rational world. So it just happened.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, talk to me about Sight Diagnostics, and also here it wasn't you started out not as chief technology officer, and you overtook that role after you've had I'm sure a great time at Natural Intelligence amongst other opportunities, as well as Weizmann Institute doing your master's. But what was it about Sight Diagnostics that really triggered you to join them early on?
So I was approached by Yossi, the CEO of Sight Diagnostics, whom I actually knew from Talpiot. I was his first commander in the army. So we met.
Actually?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was his
that is so cool.
Yeah, his first 2 weeks in the army, I was his commander. So that's where he knew me from. And he offered to join. And I think back then they had a terrific story about how to help the developing world with malaria diagnostics. That's how Sight started, using computer vision technology to diagnose malaria, which is still, the most fatal death cause in sub-Saharan Africa. It's a huge problem in the developing world, and that was exciting for me to take part in such a journey. So I think, and there were like 5 or 6 of them back then in a sort of garage mode in Jerusalem. And it was just very exciting, extremely smart people, a great story, a great goal.
And if you're categorizing sort of, even before we get deep into what Sight Diagnostics is doing now, I want to delay for a bit on this art of working with brilliant people. And I think that really sort of exemplifies your journey and what you're doing at Sight Diagnostics. What does this lead to? Obviously everybody wants to work with good people, but being around really, really intelligent people that some of them also went through similar educational experiences to the one that you went through. What does that do to a team, in your opinion?
So it changes. I mean, there are different cultures, I would say, of brilliant people. I think that what I've been trying to build here at Sight in the first 5 years, I kind of recruited everyone. So I had a direct impact on this. It's a culture where you really value the talent and you build a workspace where you solve complex problems together, but you also value each other. It's a very nice and accessible kind of environment. Everyone's nice to everyone. Everyone's here about solving problems, about creating value, about changing the world, not about ego, not about showing how smart you are, not about. I think when everyone's brilliant, you just know you're working with the best people and you're here to do the job. You're not here to impress anyone or to show off. And this is amazing. And also, I think another thing is that I think brilliant people, well, money is always important and salaries, they're good in the high tech industry. But I think the two most important aspects in a company, for employment, for those kind of brilliant people are the people they're working with and the challenge. And if you have a real challenge, a real deep challenge that can impact the world, and you build, an ecosystem of smart people, this attracts more and more talent. And it's more, I mean, it's
Incredible.
much more than money and compensation, in my opinion.
100%, 100%. Sight Diagnostics today, if you had to articulate the vision, in just a few sentences, what is Sight Diagnostics aiming to do today to the world and to sort of humanity, if you will?
Well, we started from malaria, but as a matter of fact, Sight was created to provide patients with access to accurate, convenient, and pain-free diagnostic testing. And we deliver results in minutes instead of days. And the way it can transform healthcare is by providing much better and faster diagnosis to sick people. So that really is our vision, to be able to provide this access. And by using our unique technology to digitize blood, to turn, liquid samples that can be blood, but it can also be, we're looking into other spaces as well today, to photos, to images. We're actually, transforming samples to data, to visual data. So this allows us today to perform a complete blood count, which is the most common blood test worldwide, one of the cornerstones of every diagnosis process. But looking forward, we have a huge amount of data. We capture 1,000 images of a patient's blood from every blood sample. And this paves the way for our future applications around prevention diagnostics, precision diagnostics. We're working on biomarkers and on algorithms for treatment monitoring, for early disease detection. And this really is the future, to be able to access accurate blood testing at the point of care, whether it's your doctor's office, a pharmacy, a clinic, a pediatrics hospital. And then by running this routine test that gives you value, digitizing your blood to allow future analysis and even more insights. So that's where we're aiming.
Beautiful. Two different challenges that need to be overcome, right? There's the consumer behavior, the actual user experience.
Yeah.
Now there's trust, there's behavior, there is forming a habit, there is the ability to understand what is why choose this over something else. And then the second piece of it is the technology and how we're leveraging new technologies that are available to us, artificial intelligence and the ability to really understand our blood in a new way. Let's start with the consumer behavior piece. How do you sort of see through, as you're developing the product, what is the shift in consumer behavior that needs to happen, and how do you think it will happen?
I mean, in the past 20 years, we see a serious trend of transferring diagnostics from the central labs and big centers to the point of care. Decentralization is a huge trend, and we don't need to educate the market about this. There is tons of literature around this. Many companies are working in this space. Telemedicine is part of it. I mean, you want everything in your house if possible, if not close to your house, affordable, convenient. And and I think the COVID pandemic also emphasized the need of providing access in the community to testing. We have COVID tests everywhere, but if you could have a complete blood count alongside your COVID test, you could assess the severity of the disease and how you respond to treatments and so on. So the importance of decentralization is felt today globally. I really think the pandemic is like the lesson of everyone about this. And everyone sees value in this. And now the challenge remains technology, because the existing technologies for some of the tests couldn't allow this decentralization. For decentralization, you need it to be smaller, affordable, convenient, and still as accurate. It needs to be equivalent to what is being run in central laboratories. You cannot compromise this. And that's the big fear about decentralization, that eventually accuracy will be compromised, and then, you lose in this trade-off. So by using computer vision and AI, we actually introduced a new technology to complete blood counts, which allowed to preserve and even in some cases, be better than what's currently considered the lab grade solutions and the gold standard, and making it affordable and accessible and simple, extremely simple to use at the community with no compromise. I think that's the big breakthrough. This is why patients and operators, clinics will actually adopt this solution.
Incredible. And on the technology front, as you're working with the team, as the technology leader, how do you see your role in this whole revolution? And I'm calling it a revolution because it really is sort of a revolution. What is your role as Sarah Levy in this whole operation?
So today I'm leading what we call the product group, the group that defines the requirements, the priorities, and shapes the pipeline of our products. The program group, which manages the programs, the project, the execution of these plans, and the quality and regulation activities. In our space, in the medical industry, regulation, is very, very much tied to the product. You need to have a real regulatory path and to understand the regulatory limitations and requirements, because it's a highly regulated industry and it's highly important. It's a strategic element of your solution. So I'm actually shaping the strategy and the roadmap of the company. That really is my role. And I'm trying to, on one hand, I view the user aspect, the user experience. I give huge value to this. In our industry, sometimes it's not considered of that, it's more popular in the direct-to-consumer kind of solutions. And I think we put a lot of importance to the design and to the user experience, especially around simplicity. So I'm trying to shape a user-friendly, as much as possible, a user-friendly product. And in parallel, building the infrastructure for data, our data collection, our data growth. We have terabytes of images of blood, and this, paves the way for the future applications. So my role is to shape an excellent product that users will enjoy to use, that will be adopted, in hundreds of thousands, so that we have the amount of data we need for the future promise.
What does that do to you, internally, working on a problem like this, working on a product like this? How are you sort of perceiving your own day to day?
So first, I'm enjoying the role. I love the company. I feel I have direct impact on everything that we do, and it excites me. But maybe, personally, I believe in these are my personal views and opinions. I believe in the freedom and autonomy of individuals, and in emphasizing freedom of choice. People, in my opinion, should have their own choice in all fields of life, specifically in managing, their health. I feel that there is true alignment between my personal beliefs and the values through which Sight operates. Sight emphasizes the importance of patient centricity in all that we do. People should own their own data, make decisions on where and when they go through diagnosis, and take a proactive role in leading their own care. So I feel that in that way, this really resonates with my personal beliefs and the journey that I'm doing with Sight.
Where do you derive the inspiration, either technologically or leadership wise, as you go about continuing to build this great company, tackling some incredible challenges both on consumer behavior, regulatory, in terms of the technology? Obviously, you need a lot of inspiration to go ahead and do that. Where do you derive your inspiration from?
Well, I think I was inspired from several leaders I encountered through my career. Some of them in the army. I think the motto in the army where I served was, you turn the impossible into possible by using knowledge and dedication and will. You can change the impossible into possible. And I think, this was the motto, and there was some leaders that really inspired me with how to achieve that. I also think that I inspired by some women leaders. I think that today, I'm not a big, I would say, classic feminist in just, hire women and have like a women culture. I think there a balance between, female leader and male leader creates a very interesting and holistic culture. And I there are some, female leaders that I look up to and pave the way for me. And I hope to be looked at, by other young women that, think about their career. And also, I think I'm very much...
Sarah, I just have to pause and say for a second that not just young women. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking about my career as a source of inspiration. So it's not just young women, yeah?
Sure. Yeah, I hope so as well. And also, I think, I'm a technologist and I lead technology, but I actually view myself as a leader in general. And I look up to many sort of leaders, whether in the education world, politics. I don't necessarily identify myself only with technology, and I hope to have more opportunities in the future to show other to participate and contribute to other areas in the civil world and in education.
Beautiful. Sarah, thank you very, very much. Best of luck with Sight Diagnostics.
Thank you.
Thank you for serving as an inspiration first to me and obviously to so many more now and later on. And best of luck with, making humanity better with diagnosis and with deep technology. I love it and I'm inspired, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here.